Hello there, I'm Azaria Tagaya and this is Nightline, the top stories. Government to cancel 1 or 2 commitments to drug companies. And second wave of flooding hits East Coast states. Good morning. Floods have struck the East Coast states again on Tuesday, with the total number of evacuees exceeding 6,000 individuals. Terengganu is the most affected state, with 5,457 evacuees in 27 temporary relief centres or PPS throughout the state. Kemaman is the district that is severely hit, with 5,156 evacuees in 21 PPS, followed by Dungun with 342 evacuees. In Kelantan, 288 evacuees are being placed in 3 PPS in Gua Musang. Meanwhile, in Pahang, 160 evacuees are sheltering in 6 PPS in Maran. The Department of Irrigation and Drainage has warned that river levels in Pahang are expected to rise and surpass danger levels, triggering potential flooding in several areas. In a statement issued by the National Flood Forecasting and Warning Centre, it anticipated flooding is expected to occur between 3 p.m. on December 12th and 11 p.m. on December 14th. Other flood-hit states are Johor and Perak, with 155 and 34 evacuees respectively. The government has announced that it will cancel several commitments to a few drug manufacturers while shifting to generic drugs as part of efforts to address medical inflation. Noting that the cost of medicines have been rising uncontrollably, Prime Minister Datuk Seri Anwar Ibrahim noted that the drug purchases over the past few years had resulted in a monopoly. Speaking at the Dewan Rakyat on Tuesday during Prime Minister's question time, Anwar said the Health Ministry will explore the possibility of sourcing generic medicines.
Kita akan batalkan beberapa komitmen kepada 1-2 syarikat dan minta Kementerian Kesihatan seperti mana beberapa negara lakukan, menjelajah ke beberapa negara supaya mendapat ubat generik yang lebih murah dan berpatutan. Ubat generik ini lebih terkenal di Brazil, India, China umpamanya.
Anwar noted that the cost of drugs was among the factors behind the rising cost of healthcare. The Prime Minister added that it was not necessary for medicines to be sourced from the United States or Europe, which are more costly. Meanwhile, the Prime Minister also assured that the government is coordinating efforts to ensure any increase in insurance premiums remains reasonable and does not burden the public. Previously, the Finance Ministry announced it was in the process of negotiations with relevant parties following reports of an expected increase in medical premiums next year, rumoured to be between 40% and 70% amid rising healthcare costs. Meanwhile, Anwar said there should be urgency in developing affordable housing. The Prime Minister said there is no reason to delay such projects when the proper documentation and submissions have been made. He was speaking at the signing ceremony of the Joint Development Agreement for the upcoming Rumah Bakat Baru Madani affordable housing development in Pulau Pinang. The project is the largest affordable housing development project in Malaysia's history, a milestone for the country's affordable housing sector, with more than 35,000 units to be built for the B40 and M40 groups. In his speech, Anwar cited his past experience during his time as Finance Minister as proof that housing prices can be reduced if project approvals are expedited.
Bila saya bincang dengan pemaju, saya tekankan reduce cost. Dia kata reduce cost, macam mana holding cost tinggi? Sebab kelulusan dalam 8 bulan, setahun, dia ada holding cost. Now, saya kata okey, kalau saya reduce ke 3 bulan, dia kata yes, dia make it reduce another 5,000 or 10,000.
On another matter, the Prime Minister explained that the issue of the existence of a royal addendum decree, which would allow Datuk Seri Muhammad Najib Tun Razak to serve the remainder of his 6-year prison sentence under house arrest, was not on the agenda of the initial Pardons Board meeting he attended on December 8th last year.
Itu saya hadir dan saya boleh ulas kerana itu belum bangkit soal addendum. Dia tidak termasuk dalam agenda.
The Prime Minister stressed that it was absurd for the issue to be openly discussed in the Dewan Rakyat as the matter is now sub judice. This is as the Court of Appeal has scheduled January 6 next year for Najib's appeal hearing. The Attorney General's Chambers in a statement on Monday had also requested that all parties refrain from making statements deemed sub judice.
Boleh? Tolong jawab. Boleh tidak seorang Perdana Menteri ulas keputusan Di-Pertuan Agong dalam lembaga pengampunan? Jawabnya tidak boleh. Baik. Mengapa menteri-menteri jawab begitu? Kita rujuk kepada jemaah menteri, kita bagi keputusan begini. Sehingga kes ini dimuktamadkan dan sehingga di-Pertuan Agong sendiri perkenan tidak boleh kita sentuh.
On July 3rd, the High Court dismissed Najib's application to commence judicial review proceedings, and Najib then appealed the decision to the Court of Appeal. The 71-year-old is currently serving a 6-year prison sentence after being convicted of misappropriating 42 million ringgit of SRC International Sendirian Berhad funds. In Kuantan, the Pahang Palace has said it will not be issuing any statements regarding the royal addendum. Pahang State Legal Advisor Datuk Sri Saiful Idris Zainuddin said the decision was made to respect ongoing court proceedings.
Dan di atas nasihat yang amat berhormat Menteri Besar Pahang dan saya serta bagi menghormati prosiding mahkamah, maka pihak Istana Pahang tidak akan membuat apa-apa kenyataan lagi tentang perkara ini kerana ia boleh mengakibatkan subjudis ke atas kes rayuan yang telah dibawa di hadapan Mahkamah Rayuan.
Tun Dr. Mahathir Mohamad has once again denied that the decision to withdraw Malaysia's application to review the International Court of Justice ICJ's ruling on Pulau Batu Putih was a unilateral decision. The former Prime Minister said the decision was made collectively and stated that none of his cabinet members objected or commented on the move when the review was tabled for discussion. In a media conference on Tuesday, Dr. Mahathir responded to the findings of the Royal Commission of Inquiry RCI, which said he had made a unilateral decision on the matter.
As usual, whenever the Prime Minister, in that case I was the Prime Minister, when I studied it, I felt that we should drop the claim. And this was conveyed to the Cabinet. A Cabinet, sometimes they debate, sometimes they don't.
Dr. Mahathir added that the RCI on the issue appeared to single him out and believes that some of the ministers present during the cabinet meeting should be called as witnesses during the investigation. Last Thursday, the RCI, tasked with reviewing the handling of the Batu Putih, Middle Rocks and South Ledge sovereignty case, recommended that a criminal investigation be initiated against Dr. Mahathir. The RCI said Dr. Mahathir withdrew the application to the ICJ for an interpretation of its ruling without consulting the cabinet in 2018. Malaysia filed an application to review the ruling in 2017, but it was then withdrawn in May 2018. In Selangor, the body of a man was found stuffed into a luggage near a drain at Trust Perdana Bandar Tun Hussein on Tuesday. Kajang Police Chief Assistant Commissioner Nazrun Abdul Yusuf said they were alerted over the incident at around 11:45 a.m. The body was discovered by a passerby who noticed a foul smell coming from the bag. The individual then informed the police, and a forensic team and K9 unit were dispatched to the scene to conduct further investigations. Initial checks revealed the body was fully clothed, but there were no identification documents. The body was sent to the Serdang Hospital for autopsy. The case is being investigated under the Penal Code for murder. In Johor, an unemployed man was charged at the Kluang Magistrates Court on Tuesday with the murder of his mother at a house in Felda Air Hitam last week. 20-year-old Muhammad Haris Farhan Nasruddin nodded in understanding when the charge was read to him before Magistrate Mustaqim Sukarno. No plea was recorded as the case falls under the jurisdiction of the High Court. According to the charge sheet, Muhammad Haris is alleged to have murdered 47-year-old Zarina Jaafar between 10:45 a.m. and 12:30 p.m. on December 4th. The charge, framed under the Penal Code, carries the death penalty or a maximum 40-year imprisonment and a minimum of 12 strokes of this cane upon conviction. The court fixed February 4th for case mention. On December 4th, it was reported that the victim was found unconscious, believed to have been stabbed in the back by her own son. Malaysia has successfully recorded total approved investments valued at 254.7 million ringgit from various economic sectors for the first 9 months of this year, marking an increase of 10.7% compared with 230.2 billion ringgit for the same period in 2023. Prime Minister Datuk Sri Anwar Ibrahim said this amount involves 4,753 projects, which are expected to generate 159,347 new job opportunities. In a post on X on Tuesday night, Anwar Anwar said that this was informed during his chairing of the National Investment Council MPN meeting regarding the investment performance. The Prime Minister said MPN has agreed and confirmed the guidelines for the development of sustainable data centres, which include metrics for power usage effectiveness and water usage effectiveness. He added that these guidelines would be applied as eligibility requirements for tax incentives under the Digital Ecosystem Acceleration Scheme, an initiative to improve policies related to efforts to drive investment in the country's data centres. Anwar said the Madani government continues to improve existing policies and create new policies to enhance the nation's competitiveness. Nestlé Malaysia Berhad is looking to enhance its long-standing partnership with Media Prima Berhad as part of its efforts to strengthen its brand presence in the country. The focus of this enhanced collaboration will include community service programs centered on public well-being and positive contributions to local communities, which are set to be implemented next year. The shared commitment was expressed during a corporate visit to Media Prima's offices in Balai Berita Bangsa on Tuesday. According to Nestlé Malaysia's Chief Executive Officer Juana Ranols, the visit aims to forge greater collaborations that go beyond introducing new products and strengthening the brand, but is also part of Nestlé Malaysia's efforts to connect with Malaysians.
So yeah, it's a great pleasure for us to be here today with Dato Sri, with all our colleagues from Nestlé. So we have had the opportunity to visit your beautiful new studios and also to discuss new ways of collaborating and bringing our partnership to the next level in 2025.
He expressed enthusiasm about the potential that can be achieved through various initiatives resulting from the collaboration between Nestlé and Media Prima Berhad as Malaysia's largest integrated media company. Ranols noted the enduring partnership that has been forged over the years, describing it as a remarkable initiative that not only fulfilled the dreams of many Malaysians, but has also supported numerous non-governmental organizations and deserving organizations contributing positively to the community. Also present during the visit were Nestlé Malaysia Chairman Tan Sri Wan Zulkifli Wan Arifin, accompanied by Media Prima Berhad Group Chairman Datuk Sri Dr. Said Hussein Al-Junaid. The delegation included Media Prima Group Managing Director Rafiq Razali, Media Prima Group Chief Financial Officer Rosli Sabarudin, Media Prima Group Deputy Managing Editor Farah Naz Abdul Karim, and Media Prima Television Network's Group Editor for News and Current Affairs Azhari Muhyiddin. The FBM KLCI is expected to continue to climb and hit 1,800 points by the end of 2025. According to MIDF Research Head of Strategy Said Muhammad Kifni Said Kamarudin, the increase is driven by foreign fund inflows, better macroeconomic performance and corporate earnings.
For as long as these factors remain positive, the market downswing should not be feared of. It should be seen as an opportunity to buy at cheap.
He added that the Malaysian market also benefited from the interest rate reduction in the United States. In 2024, the local stock market has shown fairly good performance with an 11% increase as of December 4th. As of 5 p.m. on Tuesday, the FBM KLCI was 2.46 points lower at 1,608.97 compared to 1,611.43 points recorded on Monday. Global Airlines on Tuesday raised their profit forecast for 2025 compared to the prior year, projecting industry-wide revenues at more than $1 trillion for the first time and a record 5.2 billion passengers globally, despite ongoing supply chain woes. Previously, airlines around the world have seen their growth hampered by difficulties at plane makers Boeing and Airbus, which have delayed jet deliveries. Without newer, more efficient planes, airlines say they cannot cut back jet fuel costs while flying more passengers. Still, the International Air Transport Association said it expected the worldwide industry to generate $36.6 billion of net profit this year, up from $31.5 billion in expected net profit in 2024. This comes 4 years after the industry collapsed to a $140 billion loss in 2020 as a result of the pandemic, which has since recovered thanks to robust travel demand. SRG carries Malaysian pride. MLB BM6 World Championship after this breather.
Selepas hampir 2 dekad, rancangan reality TV terhebat kembali dengan lebih segar dan penuh kejutan. Ribuan peserta hadir ke 7 lokasi uji bakat di seluruh Malaysia dengan membawa mimpi dan harapan untuk menjadi seorang penghibur terkenal sekaligus memenangi hadiah bernilai RM1 juta. Siapakah 100 peserta yang bertuah yang bakal mara ke peringkat seterusnya untuk bergelar juara Kalpis Soda 1 in a Million?
A woman's spirit is boundless. So grab your coffee cups and wear your sassiest smile. Because this season, we're louder than ever. We talk career, health, finance, relationships, and everything in between. Women's Talk is here to empower and inspire you. Join us on Women's Talk every Saturday, 5 p.m. only on TV3 and stream now on Thursday.
Sayang, nampak jam saya tak?
Alah, awak yang tak kemas betul-betul. Semaklah, serabut tau.
Hidup ini keras. Kita patut bertolak ansur dengan pasangan kita.
Kita kena ambil berat, ambil peduli dan saling berkongsi kesenangan dan kepayahan kerana ia adalah penghubung kasih sayang.
Hai sayang.
Abang dah balik?
Dah masak dah?
Sorry, belum lagi.
Kita sentiasa berharap untuk dapat pasangan yang terbaik untuk kita.
Namun, tak semua kesempurnaan dapat kita kecapi. Yang paling penting, kita kena saling memahami antara satu sama lain.
We're back with sports. National football interim coach Pau Mati Vicente on Tuesday said he does not want his men to be distracted by the thought of having to score many goals against Timor-Leste in an ASEAN Cup group match at the National Stadium in Bukit Jalil on Wednesday. Vicente said his footballers will not head into the match thinking of a high score, as their main focus is to get their first win in the campaign.
We cannot think on how many goals. We need to think first we have to win. And I think if we approach the game like this, with high intensity, high attitude from the start, I think any team coming here, doesn't matter if it's lower ranking or higher ranking, we need to think that we will win.
The Spaniard said he's happy to be back at Bukit Jalil, where they lifted the Merdeka Tournament trophy in September. He also expects a difficult game against Timor-Leste, urging his players to show their characters in the match to prove that playing against Malaysia is never a friendly game nor an easy game. Previously, Minnows Timor-Leste were crushed 10-0 by Thailand in their Group A opener, and Malaysia are expected to win big against the Timorese despite their 2-2 draw away against Cambodia. Now on to esports, the Mobile Legends Bang Bang M6 World Championship. Malaysian pride has fallen solely on the shoulders of the Selangor Red Giants SRG after they swept Singapore's NIP Flash 3-0 to reach the quarterfinals in the lower bracket on Tuesday. In the best-of-5 format game, SRG showcased dominance in the first game with clean and coordinated team play to take a 1-0 lead. Heading into the second game, NIP Flash put up a fight, but John Vincent Banal, or better known as Innocent, with the hero, Granger, displayed an exceptional performance, helping SRG secure their second win. The third game was even more intense as both teams had a couple of chances to secure the win, but SRG, guided by Hakullah Ahmad Shahrul Zaman, or known as Sekais, with the hero Joy, sealed the 3-0 win for the Malaysians. Up next, SRG are set to face a tough challenge in the quarters as they're set to go up against the Indonesian powerhouse RRQ Hoshi. Earlier, another Malaysian team, Team Vamos, suffered an early exit in the lower bracket round after losing 1-3 to Team Spirit of Russia, crushing their hopes of clinching the title. Despite Team Vamos's initial dominance in the first game, the Malaysians could not hold off Team Spirit's comeback and ultimately lost 5-11. Vamos bounced back in the second game thanks to a solid performance by Alif Adam Arif, better known as Smooth, with the hero Chichi levelling the score at 1-1. However, a similar scenario unfolded in the third game as Vamos's early control was once again thwarted by the Russian side, allowing Team Spirit to secure their second victory. Team Vamos fought hard in the fourth game, defending their crystal brilliantly, but Team Spirit once again managed to exploit the Malaysians' weaknesses, ultimately securing the 3-1 win.
Moving on to hockey now, the 2024 Women's Junior Asia Cup. Deepika netted a hat-trick as Malaysia's Young Tigresses were outclassed 5-0 by defending champions India on Monday.
India lit the game up in the third quarter, scoring 4 goals in quick succession to take a commanding lead as they earned a penalty corner in the 32nd minute scored by Vishnavi Vital Palke. India's second goal came in the 37th minute when Deepika expertly converted a penalty corner, firing a powerful shot past the goalkeeper. Just a minute later, India performed a quick counter-attack as Kanika Siwach scored a stunning field goal from a distance. In the 39th minute, India earned a penalty stroke with Deepika stepping up and confidently converted from the spot. In the 48th minute, Deepika completed her hat-trick with a low-driven penalty corner shot, adding to the Young Tigresses' misery. Despite the onslaught, Coach Lailin remains hopeful of a rebound against Bangladesh on Wednesday, as it is a must-win match to keep Malaysia's hopes alive for a top-5 finish and qualification for next year's Junior World Cup.
Syria's former Prime Minister agrees to hand over power. The details when Nightline returns.
Daripada 100 peserta, hanya 50 sahaja yang layak untuk kepusingan seterusnya.
Saringan makin ketat.
Cabaran semakin hebat.
Mampukah mereka menawan hati juri-juri kita?
Siapakah penyanyi yang bernilai RM1 juta yang kami cari?
Congrats yang berjaya. Saksikan episod kedua Audition Journal Kapisoda 1 in a Million Ahad ini 15 Disember jam 12.30 tengah hari hanya di TV3.
Sejuta soda,
satu juara.
So, 前より話すようになったね。
ずっとありがとうございますってお母さんも言ってって。
でもまた青葉に何も伝えないで勝手にいなくなるとかは絶対許さないから。
Silent setiap Sabtu dan Ahad 7 malam di Yoshi TV3 dan stream sekarang melalui Tonton.
Ada rindu keluarga ada.
Alung.
Kau jangan panggil aku Alung lah. Aku tak ada adik macam kau.
Ada nak minta maaf.
Kau minta maaf dekat mak lah.
Mak kena tahu. Mak sendirilah punca keretakan hubungan kita dengan dia. Hei! Aku dia mak kau tahu.
Kau nak bagi tahu yang mak aku ni buat benda tak elok kat anak kau lah. Sampai hati kau cakap mak aku macam tu
Lara Kasih, Isnin hingga Khamis 10 malam di Samarinda TV3 dan stream sekarang melalui Tonton.
Lebih segar, lebih dinamik. Laporan komprehensif menghidupkan pagi anda.
Buletin pagi dengan waktu yang baharu. 9.30 pagi setiap hari bermula 1 November.
On to the foreign front. Syria's opposition forces are now in talks to take formal control of the country after a sweeping offensive that captured swathes of territory, including Damascus, and ousted longtime President Bashar al-Assad.
Opposition leader Ahmad al-Shara'a met outgoing Prime Minister Muhammad al-Jalali on Monday to discuss the transition. Al-Jalali, who served under al-Assad, has agreed to transfer power to Hayat Tahrir al-Sham, HTS's Syrian Salvation Government, SSG. The transitional government is to be formed by Muhammad al-Bashir, who is close to the HTS and heads their Idlib-based SSG. Meanwhile, a United Nations Special Envoy to Syria called for a transition process that ensures the continuity of Syria's institutions and allows its people to chart the path to meeting their legitimate aspirations and restore a unified Syria. Once formed, the new government is likely to prioritize consolidating control over newly gained territories, reshaping government institutions and repatriating Syrian exiles and the displaced. The new leadership has also assured to seek just retribution for senior military and security officials implicated in war crimes.
Meanwhile, Israel unleashed a barrage of aerial attacks across Syria on Tuesday, battering key military sites amid a security vacuum after opposition forces ousted President Bashar al-Assad. Near the port city of Latakia, Israel targeted an air defense facility and damaged Syrian naval ships as well as military warehouses. In Damascus, strikes targeted military installations, research centers and the Electronic Warfare Administration. The Syrian Observatory for Human Rights said Israel had destroyed the most important military sites in Syria, including airports and their warehouses, aircraft squadrons, radars, military signal stations, and many weapons and ammunition depots in various locations in most Syrian governorates. It has also carried out about 250 airstrikes on Syrian territory over the last 48 hours. In the meantime, Zionist violence continued on Tuesday with dozens of Palestinians killed and many wounded by air attacks in the Gaza Strip. The Palestinian Civil Defense said that its teams recovered 7 bodies and rescued a number of wounded people from the Nusayrat camp. The sources also said that at least 13 people were killed elsewhere in the coastal enclave. In addition, nearly 24 people were killed on Monday evening in an attack on a building sheltering displaced people in northern Gaza. Meanwhile, Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu said he would not stop the war in Gaza now, despite renewed talks on a ceasefire.
On another matter, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu took the stand on Tuesday in his corruption trial for the first time since it began in 2020, raising the stakes in a divisive case that has disrupted Israel's political life for years. Netanyahu is battling charges of bribery, fraud and breach of trust in 3 separate but related cases. The charges center on claims that he granted regulatory favors and diplomatic support to prominent businessmen in exchange for gifts and sympathetic media coverage. He, however, has denied any wrongdoing. His testimony is expected to continue on and off for several weeks, creating the spectacle of a sitting prime minister defending himself against graft charges, even as Israel continues its violent assault on Gaza.
South Korean authorities banned more top officials from leaving the country on Tuesday in the wake of President Yoon Suk-yeol's bungled attempt to impose martial law. According to local media, Cho Ji-ho, Commissioner General of the Korean National Police Agency, alongside 2 other top police officials, became the latest to be banned from foreign travel. This decision follows the earlier travel restrictions imposed on former Defense and Interior Ministers, as well as Martial Law Commander General Park An-soo and Defense Counterintelligence Commander Yo In-hyung, who are also confined to South Korean territory. This recent travel ban comes as investigators delve into allegations of insurrection against President Yoon Suk-yeol and a group of his associates. And that concludes Nightline this time around. Before we leave, let's take a look as residents and visitors in Japan enjoy the festive cheer by visiting art installations and dazzling illuminations in downtown Tokyo. With that, I'm Azaria Tagaya. Thank you for watching and we'll see you next time.